Tonight on The Breakdown, we discuss the All Blacks' defence of all their Southern Hemisphere trophies in 2021. Cody Taylor, he joins us from the Sunshine Coast after a dominant performance, and the Farah Palmer Cup reaches the all-important knockout stages. Kia ora koutou katoa, hello and welcome to The Breakdown. Yes, we are back in studio. We've pulled out the biggest desk we can find so we can socially distance. We can't wait to get into and discuss and debate what happened over the weekend. Ruby Tui, Sir John Kerwin and JK. It'll be nice if we just get to stay here forever now.
Big day for me. Second jab tomorrow, people. Really looking forward to it. It's called freedom. That's what I want my jab for. I haven't seen my son for 2 years. I need to get on a plane, go somewhere. Ruby, you need to not have MIQ.
I'm very grateful to be here, boys, but I would love to be in Edmonton playing a bit of sevens. I can't believe I'm not there, but hey, it is what it is. And JK's been educating us all this week, Mental Health Awareness Week. He's got a book out, All Blacks Don't Cry. It's amazing, I just read it. But yes, boys, very grateful to be here. We're still alive just after the weekend. Still surviving, not arguing too much.
I'm not ready for you to go just yet. Not ready for you to go just yet, because we've got too much to discuss and debate, and we couldn't leave Mills out. And particularly after, over the weekend, his rants on our WhatsApp group.
Hey, what the?
Please explain.
Oh, Batman.
What's going on?
Oh, well, I tell you what, you guys are going on about your jab. I've got my first one. I did it a long time, a wee while ago, about 3 or 4 weeks. I got another one to go. But the things you have to do when you're at home to get your kids to bed, mate. I mean, you've got my Batman suit right here. It's probably fitting, actually, my Batman suit. I've got a Spider-Man one. That's even better, but it's probably fitting because the bat cry went out for Jordy Barrett, and didn't he stand up and he saved us. He saved us from boring rugby.
Hold on. I should read some of this WhatsApp chat you were joining with us with over the weekend as the game was going on, and you're almost defending the Springboks. You were almost defending them. Please explain.
Hey, well, I almost turned a little bit, mate. But just what I thought about when I was ranting on Saturday night was, hey, well, it's in the South Africans' best interest to play that because it's obviously their strengths. But what concerns me is they've got so much quality players that they can play a high tempo game. But in the end, I'm just glad the All Blacks prevailed. The big concern is really that although we knew it was coming, we always say that even when I was playing, they still put us under pressure and almost won.
For me, Millsy, Batman, sorry. For me, Batman, it's actually the balance. I think my problem is that style of football I think is fantastic for them and they're really good at it. But I think they've gone too far one way. I mean, you imagine playing Mills as the fullback. Did the fullback run into the back line once for South Africa? Now, they got that balance right against, in the World Cup final, didn't they? They ran the ball, but I just thought it was exaggerated on the weekend and it frustrated me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess when you look at it, right at the very end was when it sort of got me. They got the ball kicked back to them halfway, less than a couple of minutes to go, and they decided to box kick the ball back and sort of hope that the team would, the All Blacks would make a mistake, and then obviously, they'll counter from that instead of keeping the ball in hand. So that really stood out. I think the things that people don't really see at home is how well they kicked from boxes and how the ball moves. Now, when they're doing it in my day, it sort of moved around a little bit, and so you want to stay on the ground as long as you can because it moves at the last minute. But why would you want to stay on the ground if you've got these 6 foot, 7 foot forwards sort of, running at you? My biggest issue was, making sure that I was listening to the footsteps getting closer and closer before I jumped up in the air. So, it does suit their style, but, we want to see attractive rugby at the same time. So I guess you're right, JK. The balance in terms of the way they, if they couldn't play that style, different story. But, man, they've got such exciting backs out wide and even in the midfield, they're just not touching the ball.
And that's all we wanted from you, Mills. That was pretty much it. We just wanted to make sure you felt engaged with the show. In case you've forgotten, it's Channel 51. So make sure you switch over. Daddy duty's done. Put us on pause and get back to it. Thanks, Batman. He's gone. All right, Ruby. Look, it seemed like a good idea at the time, bringing Mills in. But let's talk about it, Ruby. A frustrating game to watch. They've talked about the DNA. JK's talked about it. When you look at the Springbok performance, the number of kicks in the game, was it a game where you go, did they miss a big opportunity, the Springboks, given how the All Blacks played?
Yeah, and if we have a look here at the stats, 36, is it? 38 kicks in play. It's massive. I don't know if everybody at home saw, but Mills had actually put out where all the kicks landed with the jet planes on his wall there. They were just everywhere, including in our 22, if you look at that, you know, positionally with our kicking. Was it the right decision? Well, to me, obviously not, because they didn't win. And I think New Zealand, we need to celebrate how successful we were, all the trophies and whatnot. But I don't think that was the answer. And they tried this against the Wallabies and it did not work. They needed something else within their game. And I will let you take over, JK. But I'm not so convinced that this was the way to go.
Line breaks. And then all of a sudden, look, you've got us on the back foot. No, we'll kick it over. And then someone's waiting there. I mean, for me, JK, and I talked about this and we talked about it in the post-match show, I just see them having so much more potential than that. But you look at the record, though, of this team, and this is what I want to talk about. The last 20 years, right? We've played them 44 times, 33, 10 and 1. The last 10 years, 19 times, 15, 3 and 1. That's what I'm going to say to you, JK, and I'm interested in your retort to this. This is why I'm not concerned about South Africa. The fact that we know exactly what to expect. We knocked them out at a semi-final stage in Rugby World Cup in 2015. We beat them in the first round last time in 2019. I don't think they're developing a game which, one, couldn't beat Australia and didn't get the job done against the All Blacks. If they're predictable, it makes it easier for us to prepare. We just didn't quite get it right on the weekend.
Look, they put us under incredible pressure and we were average at times. Line-out didn't function. High ball was so competitive. And like Jordy said afterwards, Faf was putting up kicks that were spiralling and then spinning and all that sort of stuff. Let's not get this wrong. When they play like that, it's really hard to play against. But mine is a philosophical answer. It bores me to tears. I don't like it, right? However, how do you play against it? And, like, for me, I thought they were going to give the physio a test cap. She was on that much. You know, blood bin, get the blood off, get people on. I mean, are they actually, is that within the sort of values of our game, right? They do it really well. But for me, I think South Africa has more to offer. When Kolese says after the game, that's our DNA, I actually, although he's the captain, I don't really want to disagree with him because he's a way better player than I ever was and a great man. However, I don't think that is their DNA. They have outstanding outside backs. They've had, like, some of the best outside backs in the last decade.
And I agree with you, JK, it's not the most attractive, but I can't go past the fact that this rattled the All Blacks. We just saw highlights of the stoppages in play. It was so frustrating to watch, but it killed our momentum. Vermeulen, number 8, Vermeulen, he probably had a half an hour hui with the ref. Every single scrum, penalty, they purposely were slowing us down and stopping us. Was it attractive? No. Do I like it? No. Did it rattle us? 100%.
Is it just a challenge then, Ruby, that we embrace twice a year? We just go to ourselves, you know what, this is what to expect, helps us prepare for the next time we are going to play them on a big occasion, which is every year in the Rugby Championship, or we happen to face them in the Rugby World Cup. That's what we expect. Is that what we should just reduce it down to now?
Can I just answer, is that style of rugby going to be the style of rugby that wins World Cups now? And are we just going to go and all be bored at a World Cup?
Well,
or actually we're going to say as rugby people, we don't like this, people.
Yeah, but
we want to run the ball.
But you said it. They were so much better than that in the Rugby World Cup final and the capabilities. And they've had so many players in the past that have been good enough to create Ruby. So when you talk about some of these players, I talk about Damien Delende. I mean, these are guys that can create. Look at some of this great play here, deep from their own half. Jean De Villiers. I mean, they've had capable players. These players are capable now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Brian Habana, absolute legend. This running, exciting rugby. There are people in South Africa that just love this, and this is why they play South Africa. But JK asks, is this how we're going to win World Cups? I think the way the rules are moving, it's actually favouring that. The way the TMO is getting more involved. And we look at Habana here in his prime. There's nothing more I'd want to watch than the All Blacks versus South Africa with an amazing back three running into the line, injecting themselves into the game. But they've changed the rules, the 50-22, the kicking, favouring the attacking team now. So your question, I think, JK, is extremely relevant. The way the game is moving forward might not favour what we want right now. And also, I think the South Africans got a little bit caught in the game that the best of the best get caught in, which is focusing on the All Blacks. They wanted to just beat the All Blacks, not worry about the Wallabies. England did it in the World Cup. They beat us, thought they'd won the World Cup, didn't get past the South Africans. So I think South Africa got a little bit trapped, but I like what JK is alluding to, because this may play out in their favour in 5 or 10 years.
I feel as though they've reduced their game down to the fact that they're not prepared to go to their strengths, though. They've got plenty of players who can carry the ball, can go hard at the line, can get you over the advantage line, can get you offside so you can get penalties. But then also, they used to go to their line-out drive. They used to go to the corner. They used that to accumulate in 7s versus 3s. You look at these games where, yes, they've accumulated in 3s, but the opposition have scored tries. Australia did that to them. They gave away some penalties. They took every single one. Look, I know you're looking at it and go, oh, they were only one play away in both those test matches. What is the end result?
Can I just come back to a couple of things? This is the players. Stop. The physio's on the field more than the guy. And Gossi, they got 10 minutes in the bin. The physio took his place. There were 15 people out there. Like, when do we start saying, have we just got away from the game? I mean, at all costs, you're going to slow it down. You're not going to take a blood bin off. You're going to spend, what was it, like 10 minutes looking after a blood guy. We've got to look after him, I get that, but take him off the field, put someone else on. I mean, when do we sort of say, actually, winning, guys? I mean, if you were the centre, what would you say? Imagine me out there, or you out there.
Yeah, oh, look...
I'd be blowing up.
And we talk about all the time in between Rugby World Cups, to develop your game, to give yourself that opportunity to prepare in case you come up with a different challenge. Because when you start chasing a game and you haven't been playing, and you haven't been using the players on the field, and they're not used to executing under pressure, then I think you're going to struggle. There have been so many great quality players. I had the opportunity earlier on, just before the show, to catch up with Jean De Villiers, and I'll tell you what, this guy could play.
Now Dupria, Stain De Villiers, over the top of Barrett.
Oh, that's leadership for you. He's one of the great players in the world, and he said, I'm going to take responsibility for this.
Now Carter attacking, intercept, John De Villiers, under the bar he goes.
The captain stands up, he's been on fire all season.
Well, John, thanks for joining us on The Breakdown. Look, it was such a tight contest on the weekend, so very, very close. Do you think the Springboks maybe deserved to win the test?
Yeah, look, Jeff, firstly, thanks for having me on the show. It was quite a titanic battle, as we expected, in the 100th test match. I definitely think that the Springboks could have won. They kind of had pretty good control of the game for 76 minutes, with, kind of a debatable approach as to how they went about it. But, in the last 4 minutes, unfortunately, I think, the decision making was extremely poor, and eventually gave possession away that cost it or cost them, conceding that penalty and then costing them the game. So, in these games it's so tight, and those margins are small. You make a wrong decision like that, you lose the test match.
So you talked about it momentarily, the fact that we're discussing so much about the strategy and game plan of the Springboks. We've probably never seen them kick as much as they have recently, but even when they got on attack, close to the 22, choosing to go to the air, were you surprised with that, given the skill set of some of the players?
Yeah, look, Jeff, I think, Dave, and we're not there in the mix, deciding on what the approach is as to how do you beat the All Blacks. You have a team of players with a certain skill set, then you have the opposition, then you decide, well, how can we beat them? How can we be better than them on the day? And the approach was obviously, just to get the ball in the air, apply pressure, and then get turnovers from that. I think the lack of ambition, as you mentioned, when they were on attack, I think that was the disappointing thing, in that you put yourself in a position. Yes, that strategy takes you to a certain area of the field, but then you need to be able to switch on, have the ambition to keep ball in hand and score tries. And I think that's where where I felt a little bit disappointed in the approach. Again, if they went on and won the game, 2-3 different decisions in those last 4 minutes, they won the game. Would you spoken about it. I don't know. The big question, though, is can they apply the same strategy this weekend and keep the All Blacks under pressure for 80 minutes as they did last week? There's a big question mark around that.
There's no doubt that strategy has given you reward at certain pinnacle events over the last 15 or 20 years. Are you saying you'd still maybe like to see them play a little bit more rugby and develop some skills in case, like they did in the second test against the Wallabies, you have to start chasing the game? And do you have confidence the players are there to execute those plans?
Yeah, 100%, Jeff. And, a lot of the guys playing and who played on Saturday, I still played with, and there's no doubt that they do have the skill set. So I think that ambition that we're talking about, it's fine having that strategy. I think a lot of test matches that we won against the All Blacks, the same was applied. But it's being able to switch on when the opportunity is on, when the opportunity is there to take the game by the scruff of the neck and keep ball in hand. That's where you need to be able to switch on and just get out of that mindset. And I think, again, that was the disappointing thing about the weekend is that, had they, if they did that, they would have won the game, and then the strategy would have been executed perfectly. It's the lack of having that little bit of variation that I think is costing them in the big games, as we've seen in the last 3 weeks.
Former Springbok coach Jean De Villiers has talked about the fact he's concerned South African rugby not being part of Super Rugby may be having an impact. Do you agree with those comments?
I think I agree with it in part because I think it's more the lack of rugby in the last 2 years, competitive rugby, whether that is Super Rugby or any other international competition. I think that is the difficult thing. And also, it needs to be taken into consideration in preparation for playing in the Rugby Championship, and especially against the All Blacks, is that, I don't think the preparation has been ideal. These players are sitting on close to 3 months in a bio bubble, where they haven't been able to see their families, traveling away from home, not being able to see friends, literally moving from hotel to rugby field back to the hotel. And the mental effect on that, I believe, definitely has an effect on the field as well. So you take all of that into consideration, then you take the strategy that was applied on the weekend. And, I think a lot could have been better, a lot could have been different, but certainly all those things has an impact on the way that they are playing at the moment.
So this weekend we go at it again, and it doesn't get any easier. Are you expecting a different mindset, a similar mindset, a different result this week? Did you think it would be that close between these two teams?
Look, I always said that I think the first game that we really had a shot at it, the impact of playing the All Blacks, the emotion of playing the 100th Test match, and being able to get yourselves or the team up for it. I don't think it was difficult on the weekend to do that. To do it again, after everything that I've just said, in terms of the mental state of the guys, it's going to be difficult. I struggle to see the Boks having a different strategy this weekend, and certainly all the talk that we've heard from in the camp is that the same will be applied, just better. I would like to see just that little bit of a variation, as we've spoken about, but it's going to be a difficult one for them. The All Blacks know what to expect now. In a way, they probably knew what to expect last week as well. But to get the rub of the green, as we did a couple of times during the game on Saturday, that'll be difficult. So let's hope it's another humdinger. Let's hope it lives up to the history of the rivalry. But it's going to be a tough one. Excited nonetheless.
The Springboks may have lost on the weekend, but you're not a loser completely, because bottom line, this guy has got a debt to pay. He's got a debt to pay. He was very bullish about the result. He's very bullish. You know what you got coming your way.
He was. No. I can never take a bottle of wine from Sir John Kerwin after the All Blacks won. Even though he said that it'll be by 12, there's a bottle of wine coming to both of you for the win for the All Blacks in the 100 Test match from South Africa. Lovely. Would you like a Sauvignon Blanc? It's better than the Marlborough.
What about double or nothing this week?
Yeah. Are we on?
Let's do that. So you're still saying by so you're still saying by 12, JK?
Yeah. No, I got to, mate. I can't sort of back out now. So 2-0. You win. You win. I'll double it up. If I win, just one bottle.
No, you go All Blacks by 12. I just go for a South Africa win, and then it's double it up.
Thanks for joining us on the breakdown. Take care, mate, and we look forward to the battle this weekend.
Cool, guys. Looking forward to it. Cheers.
I'm always interested, JK, does your impulses any time get you into trouble? Oh, because I get the feeling like that, you're going to lose a lot of bets if you're going to continue to go in.
Well, if I was the winger in the Springboks side and they played like that, I'd go and see the coach. You know what happened last time I did that?
Yeah, the last time you did that got me an opportunity in the All Black jersey. So, yeah, I loved it. Everything I liked about it. Ruby, can you see in any way the Springboks team doing anything different 7 days later, given the fact that this group of players, who they talked about, Jean De Villiers talked about being together for a long time, it's been a real challenge for them. How much would have the weekend taken out of them? And do they try some different guys or they just roll with it for one more test?
Jeez, I don't know how you guys stay serious. You're quite funny, but look,
it's a serious show.
it's quite a challenge to take seriously. But like we love Humdinger. Double or nothing. No, look. One quote. He's quite a PC man, isn't he, Jean De Villiers? A lot of respect for him. But his quote that threw me was, "The South Africans took control of the game for 76 minutes." I respect that guy, I do, but I disagree. I think the All Blacks had an extremely high error rate. I think our lineouts were not working, which is not good enough, below par. All the, Brody, and they will not be happy with that. So the South Africans were relying on a tactic that not only did not win, but the All Blacks were not playing to, not even average. So 100% they need to change something.
And to be fair, we were ahead for a lot of the game. I mean, that's the tough part for them. I want to talk a little bit more about the All Blacks after the break. First, though, I've got the responsibility of trivia, and I love trivia because now I can't get the answer wrong because I got the answer wrong most of the year. So John Kirwan should know the answer to this, but I reckon he will have forgotten. So there have been 100 test matches between the Springboks and the All Blacks, and Grant Nisbet has commentated on how many? That's a question for you, for Sir John Kirwan and Ruby Tui. We will see you. There, look, he's
Forgotten.
He's not sure. He's not sure. We will see you after the break. We'll also talk to Cody Taylor.
This week, we were in Townsville, where the All Blacks had a bad case of the whoopsies. I couldn't work out who was the most excited crowd member this week. I'm not sure if it was this lady, this guy, or this kid. Wait, is that South African Steve Buscemi? I think it is. Ugh. Anybody else see this Viva Siegler and just start twitching involuntarily? Okay, guys, make sure you get some energy drinks and some fruit, some energy bars there, and of course some pancakes. It's going to be a big physical game out there today. I really want you to load up on plenty of pancakes, okay? I wondered whatever happened to this guy. How did I not know that the head coach of South Africa was now Moby? Huh. David Harvey's really gone full Cousin Larry on it, eh? Nothing to rearrange. This was cute. Ethan Blackadder brought in his own ventriloquist dummy for the team photo. No. And Nisbo came up with a new Harry McCleary character.
So that will be Vincent Koch, the blonde-headed prop.
And Vincent Koch, the blonde-headed prop. Damn, I was really hoping Faf de Klerk would do something of note this game so I could shoehorn in this photo I found of him at the hotel buffet in the Speedos, but he didn't, so that's a shame. But that was off the ball this week.
Yeah, classic, outstanding item. It's going to be a classic here. As the trivia question before the break, what was it? There are 100 test matches between the Springboks and the All Blacks, and Grant Nisbet has commentated in how many? I'll go with Ruby first. Take a good, decent step. This has come from the man himself.
Okay, 84, JK debuted, Nisbo came in. 80, yep. 20, that's 40 years. There's been more games. I want to say like 40-something, but I'm going to go 52.
Sir JK?
I've forgotten.
You'd forgotten.
It's about half.
Take a stab at it.
Half.
Take a stab.
53.
That's so funny. So before the game, you were 100% right. He'd done 52. He'd done 53 games. I can't believe you got it right. Was that you knew, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I'd forgotten.
Jim, did you tip him off?
No,
Jim
no,
Case
told
didn't
me.
tip you off?
No one told me. Don't shoot me down when I get an answer.
Isn't that well?
Wasting my
Isn't
teeth
that
on the
remarkable? 53 times out of the 100, Grant Nisbet.
How good.
It's amazing. Absolutely fantastic.
I love his voice.
Tell you what, it was a great result for the All Blacks. It was time this afternoon for me to catch up inside the camp. Got a chance to chat with Cody Taylor. Well, Cody, so much talk going into this test match on the weekend. We know it's going to be physical. Does it take more time to recover after a Springbok test?
Well, that's a good question. I suppose I'm still pretty sore from the game. Talking to Big Guzzler, he said he was pretty sore as well. So, yeah, they're physical encounters. It's interesting because we actually didn't make that many tackles yet. We're still pretty sore. So they're obviously hitting us pretty hard when we've got the ball.
Look, were you surprised? And there's so much debate and discussion about the way that they played. We knew they were going to kick. Were you surprised they kicked more in our territory than they have in the past? And how does it feel as a tight forward as the ball's going up continuously?
Yeah, like I said, we expected them to kick. I think it'll be much of the same for the second test. But, yeah, I think when they were in our attacking half, or defending half, sorry, they were, to see those kicks go in was a little bit of a surprise. Obviously, a great tactic of theirs to put our back three under pressure. And, yeah, as a tight forward, it's different. You're used to defending up pretty hard in that area of the field, but we were just running back and, yeah, I suppose hoping to take the ball and then set a ruck and get out of there.
Yeah, and it was a sort of a messy game and a number of mistakes. Was it difficult, knowing how much the All Blacks want to play, was it difficult not to get frustrated through the course of the game?
Yeah, I think frustration levels, they weren't too bad out there. I think there was a lot of conversation. To be honest, we just didn't perform that great when it came to us with the ball. I think our execution really let us down within our skill sets. And yeah, it was hard for us to string phases together. They do bring a bit of line speed and put you under pressure, but also I think it comes back to the way we probably didn't nail some of those key moments and let ourselves down with our own skill sets. Yeah.
Have you guys been hard on yourself in regards to your review? I mean, a number of areas. I mean, what are the things that they do so well, particularly at line-out time? They forced us into a number of options, having to go to the front, and that's a little bit unsettling. I mean, what makes them so good up front?
It was quite tough set-piece wise, line-out. Obviously we had to take a lot of ball off the front, and that's been evident throughout all their games this year. They did the same to the Lions and the RGs and the Aussies. It's just a matter of being able to deal with that and still be able to execute on attack. But I think we've got a pretty good plan. We've had a review, and it's about us being better, sort of stepping up to the occasion rather than getting caught in it. And I think that will be the case this week.
So I'll focus on the negative stuff. Let's get that out of the way. Let's focus on the positive, though. You still found a way to win this test match. So you're on the sideline. You're watching Jordy Barrett line it up. One, how confident were you? And what was your angle like? And the moment he struck it, did you know it was over?
I was nervous, not for the fact that Jordy was kicking the ball, just, from where it was. It was a big moment, actually, with Quinta Pye stepping up, getting a good turnover, and then, JB's slotting that goal. I was on the other side of the field, so it was tough to see, but I just watched the big screen, and once he hit it, it was pretty clear it was going over. He doesn't lack power when it comes to smacking his kicks over the post, but it was an awesome moment for him as an individual, and us as a team. We, like I said, we can be better. I know South Africa will be better as well, but to get the win in a tough test match like that in such a special occasion was pretty special.
So you've still got one more test match to play, Cody. but you've wrapped up the Rugby Championship. And I know as a team, you do like to celebrate big moments. Did that feel like a big moment, even though you've talked about the performance wasn't as good as you'd hoped?
Yeah, we had to. Yeah, I think we had to step back a little bit after the game when we got in the circle as a team in the sheds. There was a little bit of a feeling of, we were a bit flat, but at the same time, we were, given the occasion that it was, and how big of a test match it was. I think there were still smiles in the sheds to know that we'd done a pretty significant thing by beating the team that sort of earned the right to be called world champions.
So Fozzie's thrown out this idea of a Grand Slam, going through the Rugby Championship unbeaten. You have a break, a couple of weeks after this test match. Not in New Zealand, unfortunately. You have to stay in Australia. But the motivation for this week, no shortage of that, I'm sure, wanting to finish this campaign, this part of the campaign strongly. Has it been discussed already?
Yeah, Foz sort of brought that up post-game on Saturday in the sheds, that it'd be a pretty unique thing to be able to achieve for this group, from where we've come from to where we're sort of building to this year. I think it'll be another awesome achievement for us as a team, and looking forward to the challenge in itself. It's not easy to do. This whole year's been tough for everyone, and to be able to do that on foreign soil will be pretty special.
Just lastly, mate, do you feel as though the group, as you get further down this challenge, are getting tighter by the day, by the week, by the contest?
Yeah, I do. I think, we've talked about that already in this group, that the connections are really there. And it's not through even having to really try, given the combination of things going on and the way Foz has sort of led the group in terms of building a culture, it's been quite good. And yeah, you're seeing young guys sort of come into their own off the field and on it. They're getting opportunities and really performing, and I think that's a good indicator that this team's in the right direction to where we want to be and where we want to go.
Mate, you're outstanding on the weekend. It was a great performance from both you and the team, because in adversity you still found a way to win. Good luck this week. Recover well and then prepare well, and we look forward to seeing the results this weekend. Thanks for joining us on The Breakdown.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, one of the outstanding performers, and this is the Health Span Elite Performers of the Week. But through Rugby Pass, and thanks to Rugby Pass, your votes have led to the fact that Jordy Barrett got 61.8% of the votes, Ardie Savea and Cody Taylor, the other two players you highlighted as standing out. JK, Jordy Barrett's performance, was this his most impactful game for the All Blacks?
Well, I think he loves fullback. I think he wants to play fullback. And I think that was his biggest statement, to say, I want that jersey. I think the combination of his height, his high ball skills, although, he missed a few, but all in all, I think he was good. And this, this is, I love you. This is a moment where he'll never forget. And for me, he's really stood up and said, this is what I can bring. Totally different to Damien McKenzie, by the way, totally different. But I think he gives the back three a lot of confidence. And the team, he lines up from 55 and everyone's going, yeah, he can get this.
Yeah. 100%, and that is not nice to play against when you know you're giving away penalties, even in the other half, and they can still kick the goals. For me, I just love that Jordy got his moment. I think he gets a really hard time. He does make mistakes. I'm not saying he does do that, but I'm just so stoked for him. He got his moment. He stood up, and as a player on the field, when you have your leaders, George Bridge is not a bad player, but when you've got your leaders and your good players dropping balls, making errors, and your mate next to you stands up and takes those balls on the full, calling the mark and kicking those penalties, that is huge for on-field confidence.
Do you think it's more than just the challenge of the Springboks and the high ball, that maybe he can claim that 15 starting jersey as you start changing combinations? Look, we've known that Richie Mo'unga is available for selection. You bring that into the mix, he's been playing with Damien McKenzie. Hold on, everyone there's a number of different players available. Do you think, though, this weekend that they will stick with the Bowden Barrett and Jordy Barrett combination?
I think for the meantime, absolutely. I think they're on a real roll. Cody Taylor just talked about how tight they're becoming. But also JK mentioned he can kick those long balls, and that for me, if you're a captain and you need 3 points and it is a 1-point game and it's the 78th minute, I'm looking at Jordy.
Do you know what I do love about it too? It does take some pressure off Jordy Barrett in terms of the goal kicking and that confidence to know that he's going to nail them from everywhere. You're nodding away, yes, 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 and I get that. But if you think about who we've had success with already this year, and in Bledisloe Cup games, the combination that was very, very good was Richie Mo'unga and Damien McKenzie. And he may have just arrived, but he's a guy that knows how to condition.
You cannot tell me that he's going to do 2 weeks of MIQ and then play a test match against South Africa. I just don't think they'll do it.
OK. All right. There's a number of other players that are going to be fit and available, though. Luke Jacobson looks as though, well, we're hopeful that he's going to get over his stomach bug. What?
Sorry, I feel like I'm at school. But my question to you both is this. If you're Ian Foster, you've won the championship, why don't you put those young guys out there? Because if some of our seasons guys are going to struggle against this...
Which guys are you talking about now? Because you're talking about
I'm talking about
changing the team.
I'm talking about Hoskins.
Oh, he's talking about the Blues. Sorry, there's more Blues that need to play. I knew it.
I forgot he was
more Blues players. Dalton Papali'i obviously needs to play, right?
No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
I agree with you entirely. And we'll go to Ruby first, though. The guys that all of a sudden, Anton Leonard-Brown's probably going to be available. He was very, very close. Dalton Papali'i, Luke Jacobson, Richie Mo'unga. You look at the guys that then performed. Quinn Tupai came off the bench.
I was waiting for you to say that name.
Oh, look, I'm really, really impressed. So you think about all of those guys, the temptation for the group to learn from what they went through on the weekend versus what JK is saying, well, let's get a new group of players in for a different challenge. Which direction would you head and which direction will they head?
We've talked about the errors that the All Blacks had made and that made it difficult for them, but let's not discredit the pressure that South Africa put on. I thought South Africa, it was so much pressure, those box kicks, everything. It was like, I commend South Africa for getting into the All Blacks' heads like that, but we still won. We won all the trophies of the Southern Hemisphere. I know Fozzie's going for a clean sweep, so I think he'll keep the Jordy Barrett combo, but I agree with JK. If you're in a situation where you've won this championship, you have done it with players out of position with injuries, why not bleed them in against the Springboks? What an honour. 100 years, Freedom Cup. This is an honour to play this game. And this situation does not come around too often. So I would bleed them out, but I don't know if they'll take our advice.
The luxury, though, like you say, taking our advice, they won't take our advice. They never do. JK rings Foxy all the time. He never gets anything done. But let's think about it, though. Is that impact then off the bench? Is it the fact that you give a Tupai an opportunity, but Patrick Tupolotu was good when he came on, all of these changes? I would probably myself, I'd like to see Brad Weber maybe get a start at 9 and see whether or not that just picks up a little bit of tempo. But the experience of TJ Perenara was very clear on the weekend. So there's
incredibly well.
Leading incredibly well. So the balance is right. I have the utmost respect for the Springboks, no doubt about it. But how do we put them under more pressure? Where does that pressure come from? How do we get better? And how much of a learning experience was it for a David Havili? Given the fact that recognising for the very first time, well, as a midfielder taking on this sort of pressure, I need to make adjustments.
This is how I'd look at it, because I agree with Ruby, but all the cups are in the cupboard. Can't win anymore, right?
And you're big on this. You're always big on opportunity, right?
And it takes a lot of courage. But if you morph yourself 2 years ahead, we're at a World Cup, and someone goes down injured, where are we really, really light at the moment? That's what I'd go, OK, where are we worried? I think centre. I think I give him a crack there, because we've got Leonard Brown, we've got some good players there. Havili's proven himself. Put someone out there, right? What would you do at lock? Put the young fella in there. Go, OK, son, there you go. Have a crack at that, right? So a couple of positions where you go, what are we doing moving forward? Or the other option is put some of the big guns on the bench, 3 or 4 of them, and then 10 minutes into the second half, you bring them on to bring the game home. Because what do we need? If the South African side is going to play, what do you need? You need to catch the high ball and line-outs are important, and don't drop the ball this week.
Do you think tactically we're going to change, though? Cody Taylor talked about the fact, obviously, there were areas that put us under pressure. We weren't able to get the ball off the middle or back of the line-out very effectively, so all of a sudden our launches weren't that strong. Do we attack in a different zone? I mean, how do we deal with the high ball? What needs to change? Look,
for me, there were 3 points. One was the error rate. Line-outs included, honestly, it was so difficult to watch, I think you agree. The high balls, and where do we blood that in? Because we've got winger options here. And third, I'm sorry, but the Hui's need to stop. The blood bin needs to be used, and the injuries, if it is an injury, get off the park. And I commend South Africa for doing that because it worked. Where now, for me, does the captain stand up? Does TJ's leadership actually become part of it? Where do you question the ref? Is this time wasting? It says in the rule book, you must attend the line out without delay. What does without delay mean? Figure that out. Talk to the ref. I think the huge growth, as we take a look at them, look at him. He's just standing there telling everybody to slow down. They can't handle the pace of the All Blacks and they know it. Tactically, I think they were excellent getting into our heads like this. So for me, where's the growth? It's your captain. What decisions do you make here? Who do you tell to get into their face, to get into their mind? That's where I see it.
One point I think you've missed, Ruby. If we're going to play this Springbok side, we should not leave 9 or 12 points out there. Like we did on the weekend.
Thank you, JK.
Right? If they're going to play like this, then we actually have to play a little bit more boring. So kicking for the corner, and I think it'll be a great learning for Artie, right? But I would have gone, let's just take the 3. I mean, things aren't going away. We're dropping the ball. Let's just settle, take the 3. Because I think we left 9 or 12 points out there, didn't we?
Yeah, and the other side of it for me as well, Ruby, is the fact I think we underestimate our own defence. Our own defence is outstanding. I think as good or on par with the Springboks. We don't allow the opposition to make line breaks on us. And if we do, our ability to scramble, maybe playing a little bit less rugby and putting the ball in their hands. But we might have got into a kick fest, but maybe looking for a counter-attack opportunity versus all those contestables to get the ball back. But I think maybe we didn't even go to that short kicking game, which we had in the past.
But, sorry.
No, but I'm just going to add, you've got Jordy Barrett who can kick them from 55 metres, and you know what it's like when you play against someone that can do that. You said it before, Ruby, you get scared.
Yep.
So this week, every penalty, boom.
And I think, too, we talk about bleeding the young players. Our Caps had 2 games at captain, starting at captain. Perfect opportunity to practice. Cups are in the cupboard, as JK said. Let's have a look. Why am I taking the 3? Why am I not?
Well, I've got one beef. I've actually had a few, to be fair, on the show so far, but I've got one in particular, and I want to ask both of you, what's wrong with this photo? What's it missing?
No gusto.
Montoya.
Julian Montoya is the captain of the Pumas, and this was a captain's photo. They were coming in later in the day, and Australian Rugby and Sanzo Rugby, JK, decided to go on with it. This is disappointing.
That's ridiculous. That is an insult, and I actually agree with the Argentinian management coming out and saying, Ledesma coming out and saying, come on, guys. I mean, they have sacrificed more than most, and everyone's sacrificed, so it's not a competition on who's sacrificed the most because the whole world is sacrificing at the moment. But particularly last year, 4 months, came down, did everything they could in a COVID-ravaged country to come down to Australia, and so to leave them out like that is just absolute. But it doesn't even make the photo anyway. The photo is like a waste of time.
Yeah, well, they've apologised today, I understand, Sanzara and the Australian Rugby Union, but the fact that it happened is so disappointing. I think, so disrespectful. It should never have been allowed to happen. Well, of course, international rugby is not the only thing taking centre stage. Time for us, after the break, talk Wharapama Cup and the Bunnings NPC.
Chasing after this is Matty Lansdowne. He's going to get to it first. Coombs favouring all. Boy, that's close. Can they make it count? Yes, they can. Tremendous performance from Waikato.
There is a momentum and an enthusiasm here in the Manawatu. And now it's Fida, bumps him out of the way. A show of power. Manawatu, they are turning it on.
Your battle of the South, always spicy.
Puts his foot down, Josh Bobby. What a game of rugby in the deep south. They're away down the middle. For Murray with a grubber kick. Jonah Lowe. What about that? Umanga Jensen. Spectacular try down the left edge. Putting the foot down, Kenny Naholo. He'll go all the way. The man of the 23 jumper, brilliant. Absolutely stunning.
A great afternoon for Taranaki.
Yes, welcome back to the breakdown. Plenty of great action coming up this weekend and from the weekend just past. We're going to focus on the Wharapama Cup, and this is what is coming up this weekend. It's playoff time. So we've got a couple of semi-finals that's going to happen. We've got a couple of straight finalists as well going straight through, Canterbury and Manawatu. But what I do love about that, Ruby, is the fact that Canterbury and Manawatu have decided, guess what? We're going to play a game anyway. Prepare ourselves.
That is beautiful. I love that. That's what we used to do back in the day when I had to play and all the funding got cut. So I love that. I think that's totally in the spirit. But if there's one to watch, it has to be Waikato vs Wellington in that premiership semi. That is going to be a massive game, some massive names.
OK, we have a bone to pick, though. We've got to ask some questions. Look, this weekend, however, the Black Ferns get in camp. They're going on tour and they're coming together and removing players from these playoff games. I'm a little bit disappointed about that. I'll get JK to talk about it before, Ruby, you give us your opinion, but the fact that some of the key people out of this, given it severely affects the Waikato team, who last year were within inches of winning a title. JK, is this frustrating to see our very best players not being out there this weekend?
It's ridiculous for me. I think the female game has grown incredibly in the last 2 years. We need to carry on with that wave. You know, I don't believe any premium competition should take their top players out of it. It's not fan-based. If you take these players out, then you are not respecting the people who go and pay and watch. You're not respecting the broadcasters and the sponsors. And I'm really big on this. You know how I feel about our players going overseas for the All Blacks, and I know they have to for financial sabbaticals, but, you know, Jordy Barrett leaves, 6,000 people less at Eden Park. People want to see their stars. Now, some of these stars, like Ruby, are what people are getting encouraged about the female game. Why would you take them out when your tour is still a month away? I get having a camp. I've been a coach of Italy. They all blew up. I had a 2-day camp. So have a 3-day camp and then send them back and let them play their finals.
Ruby, so they leave on October the 15th. Their first game is on the 1st of November while they're away. Isn't that not enough time to prepare? Now, I know they haven't had opportunities to play international football. We've had a number of games that were supposed to be played here in New Zealand against the likes of the Wallaroos. But does this compromise the integrity of this competition, or is this just necessary for the Black Ferns in terms of preparation?
Boys, I'm impressed. Sounds like you know way more than I do right now, but you're right, you've got a point. I'm a fan. I've got a lot of friends and just superstars that are going to be out there playing that I love to watch. Kendra Coxedge, Chelsea Ali, friend of the show, Carla Hoipa, huge names, mouth-watering names in women's rugby. So, I mean, to be fair, I think I do need to mention this camp was planned before COVID, when the FPC season was different, which I know you guys already know, worth mentioning. And there was also meant to be a tour with the Wallaroos in Australia. The calendar has changed more times than I can keep count of. But as JK mentioned, this has happened in the men's game and it wasn't done right. So is there room for improvement?
There are no other competitions in the world that take their premium players out. I mean, if you go to Premiership football, their players play Wednesday then for the game, you know. I mean, no one takes their star players out of a competition and it's finals time, you know, and I just totally disagree with this. And it's not that... The tour's important. Fantastic, I get that. Right, COVID has affected everyone, but you shouldn't let it affect Tafara Palmer, and you should let them play in the final. Then you go away, and if you lose and learn something on this, it's about the World Cup next year, isn't it? This tour.
And playoff rugby is great experience, right? Knockout rugby is great experience for a World Cup we're going to experience in 12 months' time, right?
Oh, 100%. And I think if you were to ask the players, especially, you know, my girl Shay Robbins-Reti, the girls who were in the final against Canterbury last year, which you mentioned, and lost on the buzzer, thanks to Kendra Coxedge, shout out, stole that game. Yep. They will be, you know, they'll be gutted. So did we get it right this time? Not convinced. Is there room to improve? 100%. Is the priority the World Cup?
And we'll see whether or not, we'll see on this tour whether or not it bears fruit. But like I say, it's just, I think, frustrating for us. I think the other thing now I'm starting to get aware of, JK, for the NPC, the Bunnings NPC, is the closer we get to the Auckland teams not being able to play, the more concerned I am, because I worked on the Bay of Plenty Taranaki game, and obviously all of the teams missed some times in terms of training together. The fatigue in this game was awesome in terms of the way that they played, but it took its toll. A number of injuries. Are you concerned about the preparation time and the demands on the teams if they find a way to get back in this competition at level 2?
Yeah, I'm really concerned about it. It's the same reason I don't think Moanga will play this week. 2 weeks in MIQ. So I've got a suggestion. Let's play the Bunnings under the Super 12 at the beginning of next year.
You've always been for that. This is the perfect opportunity for him to fly that flag. I mean, is this a player welfare issue? You know, we're talking about mental health this week, JK. I mean, this is important, the fact they get this right, because I would hate to see players go down injured.
Absolutely. And do you know what it is? It's a post-COVID world that we live in. And these are the type of things that are just the reality of the game. We play a contact sport. You've got minute managing for all sorts. And now it's COVID. MIQ sucks, man. I've been in lockdown for months. I haven't seen my parents yet since the Olympics. It sucks. It's not just physical, it's mental. So, yeah, 100% it's for welfare.
Yeah, I mean, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week, people. So, you know, reach out and connect with people. It's really, really important. The mental health side of those Auckland and Counties players not playing, possibly missing contracts, it's really tough on them. That's why I think, you know, I'm not joking when I say let's just play the Bunnings at the beginning of next year for one off. Let's do that, because these guys need contracts. It's their livelihood.
You'll have to talk to the Players Association.
Can I just share something real quick, boys? Today, this is my first ever, I don't know if you can see it, I signed one of the first ever Super Women's Rugby contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much to everyone involved that got me the contract. It's huge. And I think what he's saying about working the Bunnings into the Super, the decisions made with the women's rugby can be changed. The game is developing post-COVID. Things like this is what needs to happen, needs to change.
Congratulations.
Thank you, boys.
Congratulations too on the Kerwin family. Quickly, run us through it.
Pretty happy. Yeah, my son just made the All Whites. So Nico's,
and I have no idea who taught him how to kick. That's what I do know. It's been great to have you with us on The Breakdown. Thank you so much, Ruby. Thanks so much, Sir JK. We'll see you in 7 days' time. It's been action-packed.
Away we go then. The 100th Test match between the All Blacks and the Springboks. Busting out of tackles. Now Cody Taylor. Did he link up? Jordan's there. Will Jordan? Plenty of pace. Oh, Will Jordan scores. And Woods angles under it. Oh, he's made a mistake. Try scored by Nkosi. Looking good. And over. The game is over. And the All Blacks win the 100th Test between the two countries.